94.3 WYBC, the rhythm of the city. I'm Juan Castello, and today in the studio here on the electric drum, I have with me a very good friend of mine, KINGSLEY. He's been someone who's been working in the music industry for many years, and also working in our community. The Connecticut Against Violence movement that he started up in Bridgeport is going strong. We're going to talk about that, but we're also going to talk about his life. He's an inspiration to all of us. How you doing, my brother?
I'm great, Juan. How are you?
Very well, very well. Finally got you up in here, man.
It's not that hard, man. But thank you.
Now, KINGSLEY, you grew up out of the country. Talk about where you came from.
Born and raised in West Africa, Ghana, and you know, been in the States since 1986. Went to school in PG County, Maryland, where I thought it was real tough. Until, you know, I moved from frying pan to fire in Bridgeport.
So you went from Maryland to Bridgeport?
Yes.
Right. So tell me about life in Ghana, man, as you remember it.
Well, life in Ghana, you know, let me, you know, since it's a Black History Month, I would like to give an RIP to my, you know, great uncle, whom, you know, I was also raised in his house when my family was in the United States until I joined them. You know, very disciplined. You know, got a chance to go to boarding school, which is, you know, the best places to get an, you know, education as well as, you know, educate. So it all plays a part of, you know, my my upbringing. Right. So definitely, you know, the culture in Ghana really set a foundation for you. I mean, they said it takes a village to raise a child. We live by that.
That's fantastic, man. And so you left Ghana and came to the United States, and you came to live in Maryland.
Right.
Right. Tell us about that transition.
Well, it wasn't an easy transition. You know, we've been going around the schools talking to kids about bullying, and you know, sometimes like we just did K through 8 at Corel. You know, last week we did 4 sessions, and sometimes people ask us questions like, you know, how do you talk to kids of that age? Well, you know, sometimes kids think bullying is hitting somebody, and it's not. You got verbal bullying. You know, there is bullying when you're picking on somebody's accent. You know, that's bullying. Such as myself, when I first came to the States, and people used to pick on my British accent, and I tried to lose it. And down the line, I realized that, you know, the value of, you know, your accent, especially when you're in the field of broadcasting, yes, as a journalist. And I wish I never lost it. So I was just talking to kids the other day, like, don't lose your accent for anybody, because the people that are picking on you are probably, you know, jealous about it. And, you know, you are able to speak 2 languages, as opposed to the people that are picking on you that can only speak English. So you have something that they don't have, so don't lose it for anybody. So when you came here, that was one of the issues that you dealt with. You know, also in terms of the foods and the culture and everything, you had to adapt to that. I had to, you know, adapt. I mean, imagine, you know, I remember I went to Fairmont Heights in PG County, Maryland, and I was a student aide for my teacher, for my principal, and you know, during lunch, I mean, you know, people were fighting over MCM and EK glasses every summer, and one day somebody got shot in the school. So that scared me, and you know, I went home. So I came back the following day, and, you know, principal was like, you know, KINGSLEY, where did you go yesterday? I said, somebody got shot. He was like, yeah, get used to it. I'm like, the last time I watched Bad Boys, the movie, I didn't think it was real, you know, and you know, this gun violence was not real, you know, where I come from. And, you know, you're talking about food and, you know, people just walking around and, you know, eating burgers. Like, we wasn't raised like that, so it was a lot to adapt to. Right. So, high school, I mean, what were some of the things that you got into? I mean, you know, was music important to you during that period of time? Music was very, you know, I was just telling students last week that I asked the kids, is anybody in the room who had a perfect attendance so far? And only one student stood up. I had a perfect attendance in my senior year, and I wasn't the smartest kid. And I asked myself later on, like, what was wrong with me? I went to school on my senior skip day. Did I love school that much? It's not so much that I had love for school. There was no way my parents is going to get a phone call that I did not come to school. That was a no-no. You know, I try to play all type of sports. I love field hockey. You know, I love playing soccer. You know, I was in the jazz music class So that gave us opportunities to travel. I tried to play basketball. I wasn't good at it, but they still put me in the team as one of the managers. You know, so I tried to be involved with, you know, with everything. So to me, school was fun, and you know, we're trying to tell these kids have fun in high school because that's where it stops at.
Right, and you know, just as you know, for my audience out there, I'm speaking with KINGSLEY Osei. He's with the Connecticut Against Violence movement, and what they do is they go to a lot of different schools and talk about how, you know, we can reduce violence and reduce bullying, and you know, and stay away from drugs. And we're going to be talking more about the CAV. But you know, right now we're talking about his life, and you know, he came from Ghana. You know, first came into this country and moved to Maryland, and we're talking about his high school years in Maryland and how he adapted. And so when did you move to Bridgeport?
I moved to Bridgeport, to be exact, around 89, 90.
Now, were you out of high school by then?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so was a career move that you moved, or did you move with your family here?
Well, a part of my family, my sister was here, and so, you know, I joined her.
Right, right. So tell me, I mean, how did you get into the music business? Because, I mean, you know, I know you from Live Records, you know, when you first started, you know. Was that something that you kind of like, while in high school, decided that that's something that you wanted to do?
A passion since Africa. You know,
okay, since Africa, okay.
Yeah, since Africa, you know, when we was about probably like 13, 14, 15 years old, you know, I have a lot of cousins who are in the Great Britain now, and we had some type of affiliates, friends in, you know, in London who would send us tapes. Like, you know, back in the days, those were the days of, you know, Star Points, you know, One Way, Mr. Groove, you know, when Madonna came with Holiday, you know, those were the times. So we will have tape decks, and, you know, we would try to go to schools and, you know, do parties. So I come from back then. So when I came in the States, I remember one of the first record vinyls I bought, if I'm not mistaken, it had to be LL Cool J, I'm Bad, or, you know, one of those records. So right. I have a picture where, you know, we as DJs, we all had this story about, you know, taking the console apart when the parents go to work and putting them apart and putting the headphones in and, you know, trying to DJ right. out of this. I have fun with those. So that's, you know, it started, my DJing career in the United States started the moment I touched down the ground. I'm like, okay, this is it.
Yeah,
right here.
And I know I've met a lot of people from Ghana, and you know, R&B was very big in Ghana. Definitely. You know, and when, you know, when they come here, and I talk to them and say, I love your station because, you know, you play that R&B that I grew up with. You right. know, and so, you know, so people don't realize just how international, you know, R&B and hip hop has gotten, you know, throughout the world. You know, so okay, so DJing, you know, got into the DJing and got into hip hop. You know. You were in the golden era, you know, yes. You were about the golden era. Yes. How did you get into, how did you go from DJing to working with labels and to promoting artists? Tell me about that. I know it's interesting.
Wybc, pay attention. This is a conversation. This is not even an interview. I'm having a good conversation with my brother Juan. We are very relaxed, and you know, we just telling the story as it is. As a DJ, I owned a record store in the Arcade Mall. Right. And it was a Soundscan record store. Yeah. And what happened was, I had many friends. We know a lot of friends that I was work with, that we were breaking records for, you know, who are now big executives. You got the Makaisers, the Champecas, the Sam Crespos. I mean, these guys are really big out there. Right. And these were guys who were just promo directors. Right. When we were DJs. And you know, record pool was very big back then. You couldn't just get up and go to, and how can I be down, or a Jack the Rapper off the streets. The industry was the industry. You had to be married into the industry. Right. And the minimum requirement you have to go to one of these music conventions was you had to be at least a college radio DJ. Right. You know, and if you was a club DJ, a real big club, not some type of hole in the wall club. And this is all the golden ages we're talking about.
And vinyl was extremely important because, I mean, that's what DJs used, and it wasn't just about, you know, just going to a regular record store, because your record store, you could get the mixes and those special tracks, man, that no one else could get, bro.
Everything I do, you know, you have to be the best in everything that you do, and you know, everything you have to have passion, right, with everything that you do. And what was going on is, since I had friends like my man OJ Wello and my man, you know, Buddha, who go by the name Chicky Star now, you know, when I go to the label to get products to display my store, and I take pictures and I bring it to them, and they look at it and they're like, your store look nicer than the people that we are actually paying to work. So right. I think we need to put you on the payroll.
Right.
So you know, somebody allowed, you know, my man decided to put me on the payroll, and you know, it started from there. And you know, they realized my connect with Connecticut. You know, people think Wybc have always been old school. I don't know how old you guys are, but I call Juan Castello Mr. Independent because that man lost his independence. There was a time when I was coming to Juan with No Limit Records and all type of crap, and he was not having fun with it at all. This man do not like to play politics, and that's why I respect him.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I mean, you know, again, you know, so you started bridging the gap between, you know, DJs, breaking music, involving the artists, bringing artists into the market. And you know, I know you were one of the first cats that really was able to kind of, you know, put all that together, you know, because, you know, you brought some artists into the market like nobody else. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah, man. You know, and you know, and it's so important. I mean, today you got the social media, right. You got all of that to try to break artists, but back in those days, man, social media was hitting the streets.
Right.
You know, and you was a part of that, man.
I mean, the streets don't lie. The streets don't lie. One, we having fun with these kids in the schools because, you know, like we tell them, they think hip hop is just the music. No, it's not the music. Hip hop is a lifestyle. It's the clothes you wear. It's the way you walk. It's the way you dance. And you know, yes, I have a lot of love for my city and state of Connecticut. I mean, I remember Sam Crespo giving me the opportunity to come to New York to work because I was just so